buddies. Do you guys see it? Do you see it? My bookcase. I finally had my bookcase back. Okay, so had this thing since March, which I've never had a bookcase like this before, like an actual big one. I used to have just a small wire rack one. It's not the same. It'll do in a pinch, but it's not the same. So I've had this one like March. I bought it. It was epic. It was awesome. And then eBay happened and it took over my room. And so if you noticed in like every single video, it's been like up against the wall, like you can't really see the actual shelves or the books on it, and it was messy because I couldn't straighten it because I couldn't get to it. I moved it yesterday and it makes me so happy in all its glory. I love it. It's messy, and right now I just have them sorted alphabetical by title. In all honesty, I need another bookcase because I still got 10 books over on my shelf over there. So, yeah. Question of the day. What book has stuck with you for the longest? If that makes sense. Mine would have to be, I think it's a toss-up between my two favorites, Peter Pan and Treasure Island. Like, they're those books where the second you finish them, you want to restart them just because, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if anyone else does this. I used to think it was weird when I was younger, but anymore I've just kind of accepted it. If you're getting into a really good book with a story that takes you through a character's, like, entire journey, and you get to the end and they're, like, either a totally different person or so much has happened that, like, it's kind of somber and you're just thinking back of all the things that they went through or stuff like that. And like I used to always, like, when I get to the end, like flip through and like read snippets of like earlier parts of the book, and it was like, oh, that happened forever ago. Like, I used to think that was weird when I did it when I was younger, but you know, it's just something I do. I read 14 books in November, which blew my mind. I did not expect to read that many at all, you know. It was crazy. So I'm excited. I found a lot of new favorites. I discovered a new favorite author of mine. It was a good time all around. There were some that I was like, but overall it was a good month. So the first one I read was A Curse of Gold and Beauty by Mary McKim, who is one of my new favorite authors. She does a bunch of fairy tale retellings, which is a genre / trope, not sure which one it is honestly, that I am really starting to enjoy. I liked it before, you know, but I'm getting really into it now, which is fun. I love this. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. The romance was super wholesome and sweet. I love the characters. Cover is stunning. Gorgeous, guys. I mean, look at that. The writing was so good. I could not put it down at all. And the plot was just really fun. It was like Rumpelstiltskin, and I think it's like the miller's daughter. A twist going on with there. It was just so sweet, wholesome. I loved it, and I was sad to see the story come to an end. And this is a free ebook if you sign up for the author's newsletter, so just putting that out there if you want to. Then I continued the Twist of Adventure series I've been reading. Book 3, Red as Snow. As far as the series goes, it is not my favorite. I think it was really rushed, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I did. There were some parts that did hold my interest and kept me reading, but most of it really did. I will say the twist was interesting. It's a Snow White telling, so with the evil queen and stuff, it was interesting. But as far as the whole series goes, I didn't care for it much. I ended up giving it 2.5 stars out of 5. Then I read the Book of Secrets. Book of Secrets? Wow, no. I'm looking at all my books and thinking, books? No, okay, I read House of Secrets. Gave my full review in the last video if you want to check that out. I'm not going to share my entire review. I gave it 3 stars. It was really good, exciting, adventurous. It was a lot. It was jam-packed with different elements. So it was maybe a little too busy, but it was really fun. Then next I read What the Cat Dragged In by Angie Thompson, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was so sweet, heartfelt. And I don't know how she does it, but she'll take like a super short book. Like, I want to say it was 16 pages. She just packs so much emotion and just makes the characters so real and relatable, and just, I don't know, it's amazing how she does that in such a short book too. It packs a punch for sure. So it was just really encouraging, and it was just a really satisfying read. Okay, now this next book might get some hate for my rating, It's just my opinion. You may love this, and if you do, that's you. I just didn't. I read The Last Word by Taylor Adams. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars, and I will go through my rating and explain that. The cover is really cool. I love the yellow font against the dark dreary sky background. It's really cool, stands out, and it looks like a thriller. It looks like it's going to be exciting. First, there was a massive amount of profanity. Like almost on every page there was at least 1 word, I think. And it was some heavy language. So that was a complete turnoff right there. I didn't see a need, honestly. I mean, it's like the author just stuck it in there just to have language in the book. This was very suspenseful, and it kept me reading all night because I wanted to know how it ended, and it was really intriguing. The further you get, there's a switch between Emma, who's the main character, her point of view, and it switches between that and someone writing a book about the murder that happens, as like it takes place as it happens. That was a really cool touch, and I enjoyed that. And I had so many different suspects, so I kept switching between them, and it was fun. I did enjoy that. I could not stand Emma. For so many reasons, which I won't go into all of them for spoilers. She was just an all-around frustrating person, made a lot of bad choices, and honestly, Kane's character, the build-up was really for nothing. It turned out to be really kind of weird, and it was disappointing. The plot had tons of plot twists, guys, which I love a plot twist as much as the next person. I mean, I love it. I always try to put twists in my books, but there were so many, and to the point where it's like, is this book going to end at any time soon? Again, no spoilers, but like, it would not end. And it's like everyone had to keep having the last word. Yeah. So it was frustrating, and it's like, can we end this already? So I didn't like how long it dragged on for. There wasn't tons of romance. Emma has flashbacks about her husband, but really that's about it. Content warnings, as I mentioned, tons of language, but some violence, some murder. I gave it 2 stars out of 5 for the interesting premise of the book, the cover, and for the suspense, because it did keep me reading all night, so I enjoyed that. But the language was a hindrance. If it hadn't had all the language, it would have had a much higher rating, I guarantee. And I don't foresee myself reading anything more by this author, especially if that's going to be like the amount of profanity he puts in all his books. I'm definitely not going to. Then the next book I read, I returned to A Twist of Adventure. I'm trying to buzz through the series. This was number 4, Misfortune, which is a Rapunzel retelling. This is, as of right now, my favorite of the series. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Had the best opening, like an opening that like totally grabbed my attention, and I read through it in a couple days, I think. It was super awesome. Very well written. I think out of all series, this is the most well written book. It had an interesting story, it had neat characters, and the twist was really interesting. Then I read Eddie and the Tide Pools by Kelly and Roth. The cover is super cool. I do like that. It's really summery, and this is a summer book. I think it was actually a free one during the Black Friday sale. It was that one that I snagged up during the video, and I was excited to read it. I ended up giving it 2 out of 5 stars. Now hang in there with me. It's not because it was bad. Short summer read about this little kid whose older brothers are out playing in the water. They're at the ocean, and he's like, well, I'm gonna go play too. So he goes and finds some tide pools and hangs out in them. So I mean, I don't know. I didn't find the story interesting. It didn't really appeal to me, I guess. So it wasn't that it was bad. I'm thinking maybe if I had read it in the summer instead of in the fall, I might have liked it more. I read The Haunting at Bonaventure Circus by Jamie Jo Wright. And again, I left my full review in the previous video. Sadly gave it 1 out of 5 stars. I did not like this at all, which I had such high hopes for it. To sum up my thoughts, I thought about doing nothing it several times. Couldn't get into it. There were a few parts that held my interest, but those quickly were gone. I did not like the characters, and for me, characters need to make the book. That is what really draws me in. If I like the characters, odds are I'm going to enjoy the book, and it's going to be a fun time. It just wasn't. And I didn't like the romantic interests. Jake and Hank, they were way too close and similar. I don't mind reading about like the hauntings and ghosts and stuff, but it's supposed to be Christian fiction, and the parts about God and stuff, they were really slim, or they just weren't there. The next book, however, I loved. I read The Boy in the Striped Pajamas by John Boyne, I think. Love it so much. In my opinion, this is a masterpiece. It's sort of haunting in its own way. It's told through the eyes of a little boy who's very naive and innocent. He has no idea what's going on. It's about the Holocaust, Nazi Germany, all that stuff. He has no idea what's going on, which some people may think that's unrealistic because he's like 9, I think. He should kind of know, I guess. But I think that's the charm of this book, that he doesn't know. We as readers, if you know your history, if you're aware, you know. And enough is said that it lets your imagination do the rest. And the little boy in here, Bruno, he doesn't know. He interacts with other characters who are mistreated by the Nazi soldiers, and your heart just breaks for that. And it's an ending. Okay, so I'd watched the movie years ago, so I know how this ends. I knew it. I knew it would be sad. However, knowing it and actually reading up to that point and following along in this journey and seeing it all play out are two totally different things. Because yes, the ending was sad, but it was heartbreaking because like you got to know Bruno more, and I don't know how to pronounce his friend's name. You go along on this journey and you're sucked into this world, and it's sad. Masterpiece, genius. I love it so much, and it's one of my favorite books this year, honestly. And I love that it's short. The writing is pretty big in it. My sister actually bought this to me at Half Price Books on our recent adventure, which I have to share a book haul lately. I've been kind of building one up, which this is one of them. And now she's reading it because I was like, man, this is so good. And she's like, I want to read it. I don't recommend this for young audiences because it's sad. Then we've got The Miner, the Preacher, and the Outlaws by Rebecca A. Morris. I ended up giving it 2.75 out of 3 stars. I know I'm difficult. I couldn't decide if I wanted to be 2.5 or 3, so I cut it down the middle. 2.75. My reasoning for it was very fast paced. I liked the setting. I liked the stormy night setting and the western setting. Those were fun. It was way too fast paced for me, and I know I would have loved it much more if I had more time to get to know the characters better. They just kind of come out of nowhere, and there's hints at backstories which could really be delved into because they would have been really cool. It could really be expanded further upon. So I know I would have liked it if I would have had more time to get to know the characters and a longer book, but hey, I loved short books, 12 pages. It was perfect. There's a longer story in there for sure. And there's a really good message about salvation in it too. It was awesome. Then I read another book by Rebecca A. Morris, First Christmas in America, which this is one I've wanted to read for a while. Bought it a couple years ago, and it's finally time. You know, it's Christmas time, let's do it. I gave it 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was just a feel-good Christmas story. I would have liked it if I could have narrowed down an era, because I love stories about immigrants, especially like coming to New York with Ellis Island and, you know, working in sweatshops or newsboys. I love that. That really appeals to me. And I was excited for this because of that. I couldn't nail down when the story took place, which I would have liked that, but that's just me. But it was sweet and wholesome. And then I read Everything by Erica Matthews. Erica is another one of my new favorite authors. Just incredibly wholesome. It's about this grandma who has this box with all kinds of, like a memory box, and she just like goes down memory lane. And it's hard not to get emotional through these because they're so heartfelt and they're believable and they're just really beautiful. And she really struggles with loneliness, being lonely around Christmas, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Towards the very, very end of the month, I read Turkey Trot Troubles by C.K. Fife, I think, F-Y-F-E, I don't know. I hope I got that right. I love the cover. It's perfect. It's just so cool. As far as Thanksgiving reads go, this was a pretty fun one. There aren't many books set during Thanksgiving. They're kind of rare, so it's fun when you come across one. And cozy mysteries are all good, so I ended up giving it 3.5 stars out of 5. I did enjoy it. I wasn't a fan. It's a romantic cozy mystery, so I knew going in there'd be romance. I was more intrigued about the mystery part, and the romance seemed kind of pushed in there. It's a friends to lovers, so they had already known each other. There was a bunch of built up chemistry between them that we get a little bit of, and then it just kind of jumped in, which I know. And the mystery wasn't bad. It moved kind of fast, and there were some parts that were not realistic. So, I mean, it was fun, and it was a good Thanksgiving read too. And the final read for November was The Adventures of Robin Hood, which 5 out of 5 stars. I read this forever ago back in my childhood, and I always enjoyed it back then. And revisiting it this time was really fun. I'd forgotten a lot of the adventures he goes through. I love the characters and just the merry old England setting. It was really, this actually makes me want to read a bunch of those kinds of books, like The Prince and the Pauper. And like I was saying earlier, books that just kind of like make you go back and want to reread it. So this is awesome. I highly recommend it. And there's some illustrations in here which are kind of fun. Looks like they're like hand drawn. So that was a fun added touch. This was a really fun book, and I'm very glad I did read this. Laura of Locksley, after reading that, I'm like, man, I want to read Robin Hood now. So I'm very glad that I got to do that this fall because it's a perfect fall read. And I ended up finishing my Goodreads challenge for 100 books for this year. So December, I can take things easy. I can read whatever. Oh my goodness, last month of the year is gonna be insane. And like I said, I finished the challenge, so I feel like I can just kind of relax. The first one that I'm going to read, which I'm currently reading, and I'll probably finish it today, honestly, is Sled Dog School by Terry Lynn Johnson, which Johnson's one of my new favorite authors from this year. And I mentioned this actually in a book haul I did a ways back, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to read this, and it's wintry time, so definitely going to read this. I'm on page 82, and it's pretty short. It's less than 200 pages, so I'm going to definitely read this, and it goes by so fast. It's a great middle grade read. It's fun. It's about this kid, and he has an extra credit project, build a small business and actually get clients and have profits and stuff. So his business is a sled dog school, and it's really fun. And so far there's pretty good themes about family. I want to read a lot of Christmas books. There's Sylvia of Amber Apartments, which is like an Anna Green Gables thing, and it's by J. Grace Pennington, who wrote Lift, which I don't remember if I reviewed on here or not, but it was really good. I want to get in some more of the Christmas shorts by Rebecca A. Morris. She has like a 16 book series, and they're all really short and clean and just wholesome, you know. I have The Guild of Thieves that I want to. I actually started reading it. I'm on like chapter 2, which I need to like dedicate myself to read it, but I'm so excited to get through it. It's going to be epic. I like to continue the Twist of Adventure series. These are not TBRs. These are just what I want to read because I'm taking things easy. I did make progress on All the Lost Places. I read a chapter, I think, so that's something. Of course, for the reading challenges, I have Dachshund Through the Snow. I'm going to read Christmas Carol Society by Rebecca Jones, which I did start reading. I need to get back into it. So that's going to do it, and I do apologize for this video being out late. Didn't get time to film, and it really messed me up having the first Friday being the first day of the month, because like reading books on the last day in November, I had to wait until December 1st to film, and then I just didn't get to because it was a crazy day. So here we are. Our next video will be Friday the 15th. It works out good because I'm going to have a social media break from the 15th to like January 2nd or 1st. So you won't see me at all on here or in Goodreads or my blog, Instagram, Facebook, nothing after the 15th. I'm taking a break. I'm going to enjoy family time and Christmas, and I'm also going to focus on writing because I don't want to share too much, but we are having a release next year, 2024, which I'm very excited for, and so I got to get writing, and I'm going to do it. So I'm going to spend a lot of time writing, but more about that later. And if you do want to follow along with updates, my blog and the newsletter are the two main places that I share updates for that. So if you want to subscribe or sign up, follow along, all the links are down below. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for hanging in there with me. Y'all take care, and until next time, happy reading!